The rand has diverged quite significantly this week in comparison to what we see with the other commodity-linked currencies. We've weakened quite significantly, in fact, down around 2%. Usually we have seen more volatility, but we haven't seen this kind of weakening since 2008. Question that I posed to Peter, do you think this is a mere correction, or do you think this is pointing to an overall weakening trend?
Eleni, I think the short-term traders, particularly in dollar rand, I think are having a difficult time. We've pulled back almost 20 cents from the lows. Having traded 66 last week, up to 87 today. So, sharp move back. But if we put it in context, we did trade 720 about a month ago. So, international players who are investing with a 7 handle have seen a sharp appreciation in their investment, and probably can't help themselves but to take profit. I think if we compare our performance against our peers in the emerging market space and in commodity space, we have weakened 2 to 3% more than them, as you've pointed out. But I was actually looking at a chart earlier today, and dollar rand, if we look back on a 12-month view, we've actually appreciated 7%. So the currency is still looking good. Fundamentally, I think there's reasons to support a stronger rand. So we might see it pull up, let's say, euro rand back up to 10, dollar rand maybe through the 90 level, but that would be nice levels to sell it. To sell dollar rand for a move and a retest of the 66 level. I think we traded there December 31, we traded there last week. So the trend, and I think fundamentals are still supportive of yield. Rand still offers yield in excess of 8% in our bond market, and commodities, obviously, the way they're moving are going to continue to support the currency. So
you mentioned the 720 level that was hit earlier this year. When do you expect us to hit that level again, if at all?
I think it's less likely. I think we'll make lower highs. So if we pull back and we break through this 90 technical level, maybe we get back up to 7. But I think if we look at foreign flows, the last 4 weeks, we've seen strong flows back into bonds. They're not looking at equities at the moment, which is interesting, which almost tells me investors are looking for yield. They're not too sure about growth. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. So the certainty is the yield that the bond can offer. The currency, obviously, as a commodity currency, looks to appreciate. So I would say the risks are that we do break levels, and in the medium term, we actually get down to 620.
620. And could we breach that 6 level, would you say?
I think it'll be tough on the year. I think RMB, our house view by year end is probably about 7 rand.
In terms of interest rates scenarios in the country, I mean, we had the IMF saying that we shouldn't be rushing to hike rates. What is being priced in now after that rhetoric has come to the fore?
It's there's a very difficult question, tug of war going on between November, January, September. Some international banks are calling for September, but we're pricing in 50 basis points by November. So I think this positive growth path that we've been heading down is going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to maintain that with inflation, and particularly core inflation, looking to trade towards the top end of the band.
It's fascinating. We've also seen some hawkish comments coming through from some European Union and Eurozone central bankers as well, and no surprise there, because we've seen very similar rhetoric coming through from some US Fed central bankers. In anticipation of more interest rate hikes and obviously a much weaker dollar, the euro-dollar cross at 145, we're still seeing the euro on the front foot. But then again, today, interesting comments coming through about Greece and restructuring of debt, and even the word default resurfacing its head once again. If we do see dollar strength and we see significant euro weakness, what does that spell for the local currency? Are we going to track the euro then?
That'll turn the rand around. But I think for now we need to, timing on US interest rate hikes is most important. It looks like probably only next year. And if that looks to be moved forward, I think we'll start to see the commodity trade unwind, we'll start to see dollar rand unwind, and dollar rand will weaken up again. But for now, US have to keep their rates low. I know last week the rhetoric from the EU, obviously they're concerned about inflation. Germany's very worried about inflation. Earlier this week, the UK came out with a much better print in inflation. So, from blowing hot, we're blowing cold again. So it's really a tussle between growth and inflation and finding the balance.
What do you make of the BRICS summit? And we were talking about new credit lines in the denominated currencies with regards to the countries that are involved, the BRICS nations. How is that going to influence the local currency? Are we factoring this all in already, or do you think at this point it's just still a lot of talk?
At the moment, it's a lot of talk. I think South Africa can only positively benefit from it. We really are, the smallest economy amongst the big boys, and I think we're lucky to be there, and any attention we get is going to be positive for the currency.